hollering prayers and things like that. Some people get up, oh, praise the Lord, whoop and holler, bless my mama, bless my daddy. Continue to do it. Do both. You will see if you want to stay with the hoop and hollering, or do you want to be still and know God. So my gift to you, no charge, at rebuildingtheman.com/church. Some of you don't know that under my nonprofit, Barn, we have an entrepreneur academy. And what we do is we help men start businesses, ages 15 and up, all races. So whatever your business idea is, we help you with that by whatever the needs are. But you have to literally do the work yourself, because I ain't doing the work for you. I'm not your mama. I started a credit union because some of the guys, they have bad credit. Their mamas use their name to get credit for herself when they were little, and they are not able to do it. So we have that going on. We have the Sunday church services, the JLP radio show. We have the FatherState.tv, the counseling service. And we counsel with people around the world, either by Skype or by the phone. We help find jobs. You name it, we do it. It's so amazing. You can continue to support us by going to rebuildingtheman.com. Rebuildingtheman.com. Isn't he Mexican?
Colombia.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby. You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Thank you for tuning in. Much appreciated. I see y'all in the chat. It's a pleasure. Welcome, everybody coming in from Joel's show there. Great episodes on the network. Thank you. Here with American Anchor Baby. And, you know, there's a couple things I want to get into as I do here. That, a little info on adverse possession. And how you too can be an owner of a home. Are you down in the dumps, out in a alleyway somewhere, whacked out on something? You too can be a homeowner. Don't worry. The law is thinking of you. You know, other interesting things you might like, okay? Developments in the war, etc. We'll be getting into it all. And your calls, 888-775-3773. I appreciate that. We love this anchor, baby, right? I see y'all. I see someone, Nikki. Nikki, I can't hide. How you doing, Nikki? She says, clever stalling tactic. Are you commenting on the Jesse Lee Peterson commercial playing when my stream starts? I can't. The anchor baby can't hide. Clever stalling tactic. You know, we try and play these commercials between the shows for the listen line, because you can call my show on the listen line if you want to do that. What is it? What's the listen line? How am I forgetting this? Let me pull up today's Jesse Lee Peterson show for that very number. Or you know what? I think I have it right here in front of me with this snazzy little thing. 1-641-793-1500. If you want to call the listen line number, you can listen to my show. And so in between the shows, so we avoid the dead air, we play a little commercials. I let it bleed into the beginning of my show. And I'd be a liar if I didn't admit that gives me the sense. It gives me the sense of, okay, I got a little bit longer. Clever stalling tactic. The mind is a horrible place, okay, Nikki? It's the mind. It's not. Hey, I guess the ankle baby can't hide. Radu Laser, thank you for that. Someone kicking off the super chats here. Kicking off some super chats for the anchor baby. Appreciate that. Radu Laser. This is Special Agent McNee. Wait, hold on. This is Special Agent My Knee Grows with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. I need to get a hold of you. Radu Laser, a.k.a. Agent My Knee Grows. I'm all ears. You've contacted me. You've gotten a hold of me. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. You can super chat right here on YouTube. Just go into the chat. You can't always help monetarily, so you could chat away, subscribe, like the stream, comment, leave a comment. But we're getting back-to-back super chats. Thank you, Lin Yan Chin. Appreciate that. Says, don't steal homes. It isn't funny. Stealing resident status is bad enough. Leave theft to us blats. Have some dignity. Have some dignity. Leave it to the blacks. That Lin Yan Chin said that, not me. Appreciate that, though. And I appreciate the support. You can also buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. Okay. Let me move this around. Incredible. $400,000 homes for invaders, $1. What are you talking about, Nilda? You know, Rick. You heard Rick on Joel's show. I heard him mention something about, or I don't know if it was Rick and maybe it was someone else. Someone mentioned $1 homes in Baltimore. What a business opportunity, right? And maybe that sounded a little sarcastic. And I'm sure Baltimore has its problems, but for real, there's opportunities everywhere. And maybe the $1 Baltimore house isn't your opportunity, but it could be someone's opportunity. Someone's got to fix it up. And there's legal recourses for you to do so. Some of this is going viral. In fact, you already know this. You've seen this TikTok, I'm sure, already. That guy, that Venezuelan guy, and United States, talking about what everyone is saying is squatters' rights. They're calling it squatters' rights. And I tried going through the video because he lays out a relatively specific plan on laws that let you expropriate homes, specifically abandoned homes, he says. Abandoned homes that if you live in and significantly fix up, he says, you can expropriate. He talks about how he learned this, some of his African friends have given him the codes, the cheat codes on this little hustle, okay? ¿Qué opinas de esta ley? The original post caption reads, what do you think of this law? Because that is a law. And it's not necessarily that squatters have rights when you look into it. They don't, you read the law, they don't actually have the right to take anything, okay? It's that the laws are there for a couple of different reasons. They know this. They know who this guy is now, though. Leonel Moreno, squatters' rights for migrants. He's all over now. They allegedly have his information. I don't know if this is accurate, but I'm getting it from knowyourmeme.com. I guess knowyourmeme.com has all the hard-hitting news, apparently. But they got the backstory a little bit on this Leonel Moreno, who's got himself a little anchor baby. He's got himself a little anchor baby. He talks openly about how there's benefits that come from having a little American anchor baby. So I don't know how he got his hands on one. I mean, I imagine he made it somehow. Don't know where the mother is. He's open about that, tells, he's trying to give others the cheat codes here, how to do it all themselves, how to use the different benefits, gas cards, how to get food. He's got the codes. This is the one that went viral, of course, where he's telling people how to expropriate a home, living in it long enough and fixing it up. What he's talking about is adverse possession. What he's actually allowed to do here, because it's not as simple as just what's not exactly what's going on is not exactly people just what I'm trying to say is that from my research, it seems like actual adverse possession to the level that this guy is talking about, like criminal adverse possession, is quite rare. And what I mean by that is the law allows someone, for example, in California, to appropriate someone else's property for certain specific reasons. For example, if it's completely abandoned. This happens more often than you think. People who don't pay their taxes, people who don't, this is usually land that's not that valuable. But it's not always the case. That's just a common feature of this. So people who are delinquent in taxes, payments, and all sorts of things leave land up that gets dilapidated. It's left there. So the law allows for people who, enterprising people who see the opportunity, that if they can significantly fix up the property, live in it for 5 years, they have these requirements you have to meet. One of them is that you openly live in it, that you're not hiding, that you are in the property openly. They call it they call it like flagrant, open and notorious possession. They call it. You have to prove continuous use. You have to prove hostile and adverse occupation of the property, which sounds worse than it is. In the law, hostile means something else. Open and notorious possession. Actual possession, so at some point you actually work out with legal authorities, papers, and things like that. Anyways, point is the law allows this for what I'm just describing. If something's abandoned, the law has made it possible for that to not just remain abandoned. Okay, let's say you have a border dispute, like a land dispute with a neighbor, and the borders of the two pieces of property. Let's say you set up a fence, you erect a fence between the two houses. And years later, your neighbor comes up and shows you some document that says, hey, check it out. I unearthed this city document that says, actually, you put the fence like 3 feet over into my border, so you've now gone into my property. The law allows, in this cases like this, where let's say you're the person who put up the fence, the fact that for the last whatever many years, 15, 20, 30 years, you were the one that tended to that piece of land. It's so minor that, and you can prove that when you put up the fence originally that it was reasonable, then you can claim adverse possession. You're like, no, I'm not moving the fence, Jerry. It's been 30 years. I'm not moving it, man. So basically, what am I? Sorry, let me just hurry up here. Let me move a little faster. Essentially, what it means is, no, you can't just take a home. You could just only take it if you could prove it's abandoned. And so what's happening here is a lot of these cases are people who have had tenants that were originally lawful tenants, and then eventually they become non-lawful tenants. Stop paying. They were asked to leave. They don't leave. Kind of like illegal immigration a little bit. But that happens. Or just straight up abandoned houses that get broken into. And then you start receiving mail. You receive mail there. You could tell the police, hey, I live here. That proves residency. Cops can't take you out. Now Now the homeowner is going to have to do the eviction process and get you out, because in that case, even if you have no permission to be in the property, you still can't just be taken out, right? Law enforcement won't allow it. They would rather, they say it's because it's to avoid violence and all that between the homeowner and the unlawful tenant. Okay? So you're still going to have to go through a few days. What I'm trying to clear up here, though, is that still, even in this case, it's rare that your home gets expropriated. If you could prove ownership and you maintain your property enough that you haven't just left it abandoned for more than 5 years, if for example, in the state of California, then it seems to me most likely a lawyer can call in, of course, 888-775-3773. Seems to me like it's quite rare to get your house expropriated, right? It is. So the problem here becomes it's just these freeloader squatters getting free rent for months. It could even be a year. I've seen stories of a year plus of these people getting free rent, etc. So no, the squatters don't actually have a right to take anything. Is it wrong? Adverse protection. It's helpful, like the story, like John and the fence or whatever. And there's also even opportunity if you think about it. Like if you were too quick to go with hype in any situation, even in something that's like, wow, it's clearly wrong what this guy's doing. Absolutely. It's deport this guy. Well, yeah. But calmness in all situations. If you went with the hype, you'd miss that there might even be some opportunity here. You know what I mean? In that there may actually be $1 houses, etc., that someone out there might find the legal and true opportunity in. Not this squatting crap. It's just something I noticed. So he was talking about something else than what everybody else was saying. Now, of course, in that same video, he expressed quite clearly that this is a way to get ahead on top of everybody else going in. The whole spirit behind it all was not very American. Okay? I got to say. Do you see what I'm saying here? The problem is even people. That's not to say this law doesn't need to be changed or the flaws in the law needs to be dealt with. That's got to be fixed right now, yesterday. But moving forward, think about it. The problem is that people just feel bad. People feel bad. You look into this, adverse possession and all that. And there's no one talking. You would think the law, it's just a clear cut. What's the law say? Why is the law that way? Why do we still have it? Should we still have it? No, that's not how people talk about adverse possession and what's colloquially known as squatters' rights. Okay. They talk about it like this. You look at the websites and all that. Effects of adverse possession. Where is it? This is a website that helps attorneys for stuff like this. Adverse possession success rate. Here are the benefits of adverse possession. Successful adverse possession benefits. Well, of course, you get ownership and title clarification. It clears up. It just clears up any of those nasty discrepancies when it comes to ownership, right? Like, you have it, I want it, I have it. Just clears things up. I'm joking around. Obviously, we already know that has a real world use case. But you scroll down. I'll move it a little faster here. Look, equity and justice. Wait a second. What's that got to do with any of this? You start noticing that adverse possession was a simple little, it seems to be, a simple legal provision to facilitate the normal day-to-day lives of American citizens that got, latched onto by activists, civil rights people, sick people. They're angry people, really. And mutated into a cancer and now it's about equity and justice. What's that got to do with John and the fence? You know what I'm saying? What's that got to do with John and the fence? So, it's about the people, right? Isn't that clear? The people are Ray Tardando. Retardando, like slow, like as in like in music. Like, that's what I mean. Kale Somogi. Hey, appreciate that. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate your show, Nick. Some of these laws came into place because of corruption. People would sell a home that didn't belong to them in the Old West, and then the original owners would come back and get their home. Adverse possession. So, yeah, this is some like Wild West California laws. Anyways. Nick is teaching us how to squat. No, ARG. Attorneys are teaching you. Attorney Real Estate Group. I don't know. They seem to like that. I don't know why any lawyer, I don't know why any attorney website would have the words equity and justice on them if they were at all serious about what they do. But yeah, adverse possession. That's kind of like the skinny on that. It's what's going on. I know they're saying they got these squatter squads. This video's coming out. I don't know if they're just cruising for a bruising. Kind of doesn't matter what you do legally. If you're on the side of right, so to speak, so-called. You're like, you know what? I'm going to protest. It's my right. I'm going to be the squatter squad because it's just the right thing. And as a citizen, I will resist any unlawful orders or something like that. I'm sure there's a time and place for that, but just have some awareness, I guess. Because you're not going to be shown any leniency, is what I'm trying to say. There won't be any leniency. We've seen that already. They're going after Trump big time in the craziest ways, shamelessly. And he's still winning. But yeah, shamelessly in the most overt evil ways. So yeah, be sure about what you're doing, I guess. If I'm putting something out. I guess. There's stuff that I'm more sure about. The rest, not so much. Leo versus Leo. Lionel versus law enforcement officers. Things aren't looking so hot for Leo, actually. Things seemingly, and I can't be sure, because something about this whole thing is also a little strange. But seemingly, although I cannot be sure, it may be that Lionel is not having a good day lately. Any good days lately.
Ya esto no es juego, muchacho. Esto se salió de control. Quieren callar mi voz, mi gente. Por favor, ayúdenme. Es importante, muchacho.
So I don't know. He's gone blue. He's colored his hair. He's saying his new account. They're closing his accounts. They want to silence me. He's crying. And he's not looking like the same. His energy's just totally flipped. Well, there's still some energy there that's the same, but it's not so confident anymore. The migrant influencer, they're calling him. Okay. He's an influencer. Oh, okay. He's just Leonel Moreno, the migrant influencer. Please, New York Post. Avoid such terms. You're now going to coin this. If you coin this, that means you're going to get more of them. Please, Lionel, please, let this be the first and last migrant influencer. Encouraging others to invade U.S. and squat at homes is now on the run from authorities. Ooh. Get him. They're getting him, the migrant influencer. Encouraging others to invade the U.S. Skipped out on authorities shortly after arriving in the country and is on the run from immigration officials, the Post can reveal. Venezuelan national Leonel Moreno crossed the southern border illegally. and was enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program, which allows federal authorities to track migrants using ankle monitors. Wow. He did not follow the rules. It's now listed as an absconder. Huh. I didn't know you could be listed as an absconder. A vestige of older English. Very nice. From the program, according to Internal Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And this guy's been just flagrant online for a while. At least since September 2023. Let me be at least accurate here. According to the Post. So he claims in his videos his wife and daughter receive $350 a week from the federal government. There's a little info for you there. But yeah, so they're coming down on him as the reports. He's crying about it. You know, it's only because it went viral. So you got to make an example even. But really, this is one of those, how do I put this? I don't know, patch up job, Band-Aid. It's like AMLO. It's like AMLO threatening, Obrador, the Mexican president, threatening the USA, trying to shake down the U.S. You know what? The stream will continue. The relentless stream of migrants and migrant influencers will continue unless you give us $20 billion a year. Like as if that's the cause, as if that's the real lever of cause and effect here. It's not a big deal. AMLO is a afterthought. He could be dealt with after once the real plug up in Washington gets dealt with. With this here, ICE, we're on it. We got him. We got Moreno. But the laws remain the same, right? So, anyways, FBI after him, I guess. I'm sure the FBI is interested. They're interested in scammers, right? Migrant or otherwise. So-called migrant. Okay, Leo, I'm telling you about Leo. They want to deport him. Deport Leo. You know who's doing it? A bunch of Mexican Uncle Toms. A bunch of Hispanic, what do they call them? La Raza traders. Look at this racist. I'm joking around, but look.
Leonel Moreno, who is a Venezuelan immigrant that was using his daughter as a prop, was giving advice to various immigrants on squatter rights, how to steal from big chain stores, right? Let me tell you something. I hate talking about immigration. As a first-generation Latina, I hate talking about immigration and all this other stuff because I typically get the most ignorant comments or the most xenophobic comments or the most racist comments. And I never really know how to respond to them. But let me tell you something. Somebody like Leonel deserves to be deported, all right? Because I'm telling you, there's so many great people out there that would give anything to come over here and get it the right way, and get a job, get education, and get it the right way.
Nice.
But people like Leonel, this Venezuelan, make it really hard for everybody else. Leonel Moreno.
Right on, hermana.
Who is
that it from her? Did this just replay?
Venezuelan.
Yeah, this is replaying. Right on, sister. Or should I say, I don't know, hermana. Leonel Moreno should be deported. And that's coming from an hermana. That's coming straight out of that looks like an hermana with a nopal en la frente. You know what I'm saying? That means she looks really Mexican. That means she's wearing the cactus on her face is the literal translation. Meaning she's looking Mexican. That's coming straight from a Mexican. Get him out of here. You know what? This one, because it speaks down on the so many good ones, on so many of the good people who got a job. They got a job and they're good. And I just wanted to show you that because I came across it by accident, but it does speak to, it does speak to, I think, something going on. Duh. Having the right opinions is not enough. I mean, how do I put this? I'll just go off the top. Because it's like, you're trying to be this, what, American, Mexican, everybody fights about identity. Who am I? Well, I was born in America, and you wonder what the heck is a country, a nation? What do people stand for? And when you say things like love, I have love and I have family and my community, when those things are challenged and you show where the lines really lie, I think it shows where people's hearts lie too, and it's not in love at all, ever. Very rarely. And even people who say you should deport Lionel, I think very rarely have the best interests for America, for example. I'm just speaking off the top here, but freely. Someone even legal, I got a job, I take my kids to school, very rarely has the best interest for, has any kind of real, like honest connection or thought into the notions of a community, a country, a community, a nation. So you see what I'm trying to say here? You see that's very rare. That's very rare. And I'm talking about the world I live in, that I grew up in the years I've been alive. But that's very rare even in people from a country, born and raised. That's rare in homes that are patriotic, so to speak. Remember that word for a moment here. Keep that word in mind. It'll be important. Patriotic. Also, even people call themselves patriotic. So it's just not enough to have the right opinions. I find it hard to, I think of myself sometimes, and you guys know me. I'm an anchor baby. Parents were illegals, really. That's just the straight up truth. Things that I didn't choose. Things that just, this is how my life ended up. Went to Canada, came back here. And I think about the right opinions sometimes. What it means to be American and all that. We've discussed that at length on my show. Different times. And what it means to be a good American and stuff like that. And I think it's probably an obvious thing, but maybe worth mentioning that a good any of those, if there's such a thing, include in there good friend, good husband, good friend, good. It requires a denial of a lot of things. It requires for you to get rid of a lot of things that are in the way, which are the things that are coming out of you inside. Your deceit, your laziness, all these things coming out of you, which defile you. Ooh. Anyways, look, what I'm saying here is very rarely do people actually have love. I hope you understand that. And that's that lack of it kind of holds us all back from being the best that we can be. You know what I'm trying to say here? The best we can. And there's a real low bar to a lot of people. So it's already low with your average person anyways. And I got to say, Hispanics, Mexicans, I know what your culture and lives are like at home somewhat, I think generally. Female directed and dominated. And this low bar of, well, you know what? We got a job. We all got jobs. Deport Leonel Moreno. And you know what? I hate talking about immigration. I just hate talking about it because, racism always comes up. It's like, great, this is the ally. This is your great ally. Your great ally in the fight against illegals is this person who thinks you're racist, who thinks who sees you as equal to a legal citizen. They don't even see you as descendants of Americans that came and made the best country in the whole world so that everybody else could be here. So you see what I'm trying to say here? Long-winded, but allow me to bloviate. It's my show. And you can call in 888-775-3773. That is not enough to have the right opinions, and most people have the lowest bar ever. And Mexicans, Hispanics, I gotta say, have a pretty low bar, and they love to talk. They love to talk like a pretty game. And I think it comes from the Catholicism and the romantic languages or something. I don't know. And Jesus is just da-da-da. And it's all false. It's because at the end of the day, which is a cliche, some of the most fundamental moralities, if you will, and I don't know how to drop those, by the way. I've been trying to all week. I have some things I'm thinking deeply about that, but maybe we'll talk about that another day. Maybe Sunday. Where was I? Some of the most fundamental moralities in the Hispanic Mexican world is, well, if you got to do it, that makes it okay. It's literally I'd say it's when you get to the bedrock of people and peoples and nations of people, yeah, that's very close to bedrock. If you got to do it, it makes it okay. Yeah, stealing's wrong, but if you got to eat and your family's got to eat, then it's okay. Yeah. You heard the Venezuelan guy in the TikTok. Oh, this is how we got to do it, papi. We got to find la vuelta so that we may not be in the streets and become a public charge, he says. So we may not be a public nuisance or public charge, he says, which is an interesting circular or backwards reasoning. But, at least he's thinking about the public. La vuelta. And I'm telling you, you're dressed nicely. That's the Hispanic way, I think. Which is actually probably all angry people's way. I'm thinking of the dark side representatives of every race. I'm seeing what I'm describing right now is a well-dressed, because I'm telling you, well-dressed and well-to-do Hispanic family, but they're gonna try and get one over you. I've told you about people I know close, okay? Anyways, people I know close I've said this story before. I'm just trying to be careful, I guess. But about people I know jump in the line in good old Canada, where all the nice Canadians who grew up in Canada follow the rules. Hey, it's socialized healthcare. You said wait in line, wait my turn, I'll do that. You think Canadians, you think those immigrants you guys are letting in are doing that? They're not. They're not. Not even a little bit. They're getting ahead over you, who've been waiting forever. And this is a matter of health, right? There's a matter of health, and these things, it was a report I read a long time ago. It stuck with me. Who knows if it still fits? I should probably update my research or whatever, but about Canadians dying in the wait line for their health care, which used to work, to be fair. It used to work in a sense. If you guys want to discuss economics and that's kind of communism or whatever, socialism. That being said, the fact remains that maybe it was doomed to fail maybe from the beginning, but the fact remains that at one point, the Canadian healthcare system worked for them when there was less population, of course, and less. Of course, a lot of this population is ethnic foreign-borns, okay, over there in Canada. It's just what's going on. But anyways, 888-775-3773. I try to tell you all about these Venezuelans, man. Well, maybe I didn't try to tell you, but in the recent years, there was a lot of strife in that region, in that area of the world. I forget exactly what's going on or what happened, but there was a lot of Venezuelans pouring over into Colombia, and a lot of Colombians were saying, yeah, this is not good. These are not. They're bringing. All of a sudden, Colombians they turned around and they were all like, man, I don't know, Trump, da da da. All these Venezuelans started pouring in. They were like, voy a votar por Donald Trump. You heard that song? They're like, all of a sudden, all these Venezuelans start pouring over, and they're like, they're bringing over rapists. They're bringing over. But I imagine some of them are okay people. It's crazy. I try to tell y'all. Sometimes I have dreams. Sometimes I wake up from a feverish dream where I'm I don't know, a Simon Bolivar-like figure, and I unify Colombia and Venezuela and Ecuador, and even beyond into a grand Colombia. And I get visions of grandeur and... never mind. Venezuela, Ecuador, I was just doing a little history stuff. They're all came from the same place, a grand Colombia. I think a grand Colombia or other things like that are kind of scary nowadays, no? In the liberal world order, we don't want any unifications of nations here. That sounds like nationalism. That's a little too scary. We don't want we don't want a modern day Simon Bolivar. Anyways, I'm just riffing around, messing around. Appreciate that, Lenyan Chin, with the generous super chat. Ethics are subroutines of the psyche, Lenyan Chin writes. There is no such thing as moralities. There is only morality, a state of discernment, a power of perception, not a pattern of behavior. Drop your insecurity to drop your subroutines. Ethics are subroutines of the psyche. So drop your insecurity. So if I drop my insecurity, Lenyan Chin, will I then drop my subroutines? And is that the same as dropping my morality? In your eyes? Always an interesting way you write, man. Lenyan Chin with a back-to-back super chat. Your insecurity manifests as compassion, kindness, and social etiquette centered around breaking the ice. Breaking the ice in your heart and between you and others. He adds in parentheses. I'll let y'all let that one. I'll let the truth come out of that one for all y'all. How about that? Appreciate that, Lenyan Chin. But yeah. Deny this part, chat. Your insecurity manifests as kindness and social etiquette. Tell me where he's wrong about that. You think you think that's just home training or... But yeah, hey, thank you for that. Moralities / moral and values don't exist, Lynn is saying, I think. Lol, Nick blocked now. Kevin Howe, I did not block you. I don't know if that's what you were saying, but you are not blocked, sir. Appreciate that. What's up, Vasco? Dialogue, Hillary? C. Sal, Terry, Alejandro Court? Anyways, 888-775-3773. Let me see what else here. What were we talking about? War. Or maybe that's what I want to talk about. In United States, papi. Okay, war is coming. War is coming. No freak offs in the chat. Stop. They say war is coming. The anchor baby saying is war is coming. But I'm not ringing the alarm bells here, okay? I don't even want anyone to fear. I don't even know what to think, right? I'm not really saying war is coming because of the news or because Ukraine or because Russia did this or that. I was kind of saying this yesterday, I think. But I'm saying it because I don't see any love and clarity. I don't really see any, understanding, love, clarity, and a lot of stuff going on right now. It almost feels like a repeat of history. I know, maybe you don't understand what I'm getting at. But I see egos and judgments, surrounding this topic. There's wars breaking out with the potential to turn into bigger things. The stability of the world, can we say, is at least a little less stable than it was? I don't think these, for example, terrorist attack in Russia, I don't know, maybe even some other stuff, I don't even think they're quite unrelated. And I'm not making a claim or think I know that it's this or that. I'm just saying, in a very general sense, an unstable world that's at war opens the door for terrorist attacks and even deeper conspiracies of groups or whatever in their own agendas as the world goes. And I'm seeing that there's nobody on any world stage and in the public eye, in any debate, with some understanding. Anyways, I'm just saying something. Let me get into something here. Terror. These are the things on my mind because, see, like I was just saying, it seems like an unstable world and violence and things are breaking out. Terror, they say. Some interesting updates here from Russia, actually. From Russian FSB chief. It's the FSB. The Russian FSB. The Federal Security Service. That's FSS, Wikipedia. But okay. That's maybe some Russian stuff going on there. Maybe B is, hey, we don't need to get into that. FSB, Russia, the Federal Security Service. And they're saying the U.S., UK, and Ukraine could have been involved in the Moscow terror attack. Now, I'm just reporting what they're saying, right? It's quite, I think if we're going to be talking about this and thinking about it, it's quite likely, I think it's in Russia's interests to, let's say, I think it's just as likely that it's Russia's interest to lie about something like this, for example. So I'm just leaving that open. Russian FSB chief says U.S., UK, and Ukraine could have been involved in this Moscow terror attack. Now, that's significant in that whether that's true or not, whether they're lying, that's what they are putting out. So that's clearly not peaceful, okay? That's all I'm trying to say. This march towards a certain direction is what I'm trying to point out. Putin said the attack was committed by radical Islamists, but has hinted that Ukraine was involved. The head of the Russia's Federal Security Service, FSB, said Tuesday that the U.S. and UK and Ukraine could have been involved in the terrorist attack on a concert hall outside of Moscow that killed 139 people. The chief, Alexander Bortnikov, told reporters that Russia was trying to identify everyone who was involved in the massacre and was asked if the U.S., Britain, and Ukraine were involved. We think that this is so. In any case, we are now talking about the information that we have. This is general information, but they also have concrete results, Bortnikov said. Okay. So Putin said that it was radical Islamists, but the hint that Ukraine could have been involved, the question is that they're seeing the attackers were attempting to cross the Ukrainian border, that they were on their way there, allegedly. We are seeing that the U.S., through various channels, is trying to convince its satellites and other countries of the world that, according to their intelligence, there's allegedly no Kiev trace in the Moscow terror attack. The bloody terrorist act was committed by followers of Islam. What is this? And so that's what they're saying. They're saying, look, we were basically following a car. The terrorists fled. The reports say they were following a car, according to the Russian forces. They followed this car, but instead of stopping it, they let it go to find out where it was going. According to Putin, and what they were saying is that it was headed to the Ukrainian border. Okay, so that's their claims. The point being, the hostile language. Okay, the hostile language, the accusation, the allegations and accusations. You see, the march is all I'm trying to point out. Hostages. Okay, now they're trying to negotiate for these hostages in Israel. You know about this a little bit. But over there, too, Israel pulls negotiators from Qatar, blames UN resolution for lack of deal with Hamas. Now, I reported yesterday on that UN resolution. And there's some negative attention coming from the pro-Israel side against America for not voting in this resolution as opposed to voting no on the resolution that they had previously done. They had done that on the previous voting of the same resolution. The resolution is for the ceasefire, calling for ceasefire during Ramadan, the holy month, holy weeks for the Muslims here. The U.S. staying out of it as an indication that they're at least okay with the world saying, hey, it's time for a ceasefire. Israel taking it as a, what the hey, you got to back us up all the way. And now they're saying, well, because of that, because of the UN and the U.S. is a weakness in this. That's why Hamas is now not dealing with us. They don't want to release the hostages. We were meeting. They were meeting in Qatar. They were talking it out. And that's what Israel says. That Hamas was like, you know what? You want the hostages before the ceasefire? Well, it's not going to happen. Israel pulls out. The war drums beat. The war drums are beating. Are you scared yet? And you know about all that too, Israel. And I get people want me to have like a clearer position on this. I mean, what if I simply just don't? What if I simply just don't have one? Because, you know, people want to say a genocide is never okay, ever. And I can't believe I even have to mention this. Isn't that something Candace Owens said? Candace Owens was like, I can't believe I even have to say this. Genocide is never okay. And, right, I guess so. On, like, that sentence seems true, right? A genocide is never okay, right? I mean, war is just egos anyways. I get it that people got to defend themselves sometimes. Sometimes wars are justified in a sense. You got to defend and all that. But, you know, in general, most 90, a lot of the time, let's be real, that's what fighting is. That's what war is, egos. They say a genocide is never okay. Maybe, it makes sense. But when you get down to the brass tacks and the actual conversations people are having, even on this show, people calling me, they're misusing that word. They're just straight up just misusing it. Genocide. And no one wants to talk about October 7th. And Hamas uses civilians as shields. I mean, I don't know if that's... You see what I'm saying? That's not a full-throated support of all that's going on. Or we should continue even giving them guns or anything like that. I don't know. I think they might be able to handle it themselves, maybe. I know that America's interests are peace. That comes from seeing the Abraham Accords, what Trump wanted, and what even Biden even continued, or at least attempted to. So even, you know, it's bipartisan as bipartisan, you know. I know bipartisan is evil most of the time. But at least speaks to America's interest. So maybe there's got to be some talk about it. But look, when the people talking about the issue are calling people murderers and all this, it makes it difficult to have a clear position. So what if I simply just don't have one? A clear position on this one, huh? But what was I just trying to describe? I'm describing this march, this beating war drum that is getting louder. They're saying America has no Ukraine plan B except for more war, reports Asia Times. reporting on NATO forces and phrases heard in NATO meetings by rapporteurs, which is someone who sits in a meeting and I guess is a journalist in the meeting. That's what I learned today. Rapporteurs at some of these NATO meetings, they're saying things like Russians are taking massive losses. They can't sustain the will to fight. What does this mean? It means there's no doesn't seem like there's real talks of, hey, pump the brakes. It's all, nah, we're going till the end. And who knows if those are true claims here, but that's coming from the rapporteurs. So the drums are beating. You hear the drums are beating. But I think I notice, in my opinion, that's not even like scary or even anything people should be paying attention to and concluding that that's why World War III is coming. That's why all this sorts of stuff is coming. I think anyone like thinking in that level needs to calm down and you're living in your head. But here's something that's real. The world is an angry place, like Trump said once. The world is an angry place, and I don't see anybody I don't hear it. Where's the voice in the wilderness? Except maybe, Jesse. And what he's putting out. Look, what I'm trying to say is, where's the voice yelling against the world, which is actually beating the same drum? The world, although they're fighting this and that, they're actually the exact same. It's ego. It's evil. Where's the voice saying, hey, where's the understanding? Okay? Maybe I can describe a little bit of what I'm trying to say. And you can also call in 888-775-3773. There was this drama that was playing out recently. I'm sure some of you are somewhat aware of this drama or whatever. Candace Owens, Daily Wire, she's out. Candace Owens out at Daily Wire, CEO says. This is from Variety.com. And you know about this a little bit. Controversial right-wing commentator Candace Owens and the Daily Wire have parted ways. And we know that from that tweet from Jeremy Boring, the Daily Wire CEO. He wrote, Daily Wire.
Important security message.
What the?
Your computer has been locked up. Your IP address was used without your knowledge or consent.
What the? That's like an ad. This is a really nasty, invasive ad, though. I even have ad blocker. What kind of ad is this? I can't even use my computer right now. Folks, what you just heard is me getting hit by a ad bomb. And this looks, I wish you could all see this. This looks so,
Message.
This looks so invasive. I feel like a boomer right now. I should be able to defeat this ad, Bill, but what am I missing here? What is this crap? No, look, you gotta come look at this. Bill, come here. You gotta look at this. I don't know what this is either. Folks, I'm sorry about the interruption, but I can't even use this computer right now. What? Like, I can't even exit this. Obviously, the ads have beaten me right now. They're doing a new thing that I don't understand. Folks. I did it. I think I got out of it. What a mess. You saw that? Yeah. It took over the whole screen and where were you going? I was on here. I was right here on I was on asiatimes.com. Don't go to asiatimes.com. So I've never seen an ad like that. I'm well versed a bit here. I know the scams and the things. I'm like, okay, I know where to press the X. They're trying to hide the little X and they put it over here. Right. I've never seen anything like that, folks. I appreciate you dealing with the strange interlude, as they say. But I think is this kind of like, how they say, those apps, Bill, those iPhone apps that play a high pitched frequency, and the apps say your teachers can't hear this because this frequency is. I bet you your teachers can't hear this, and you're laughing because your teacher can't hear it. Is that what just happened to me? the ads got advanced and I haven't, and I'm slowing down? I don't know. And I think that's what happened. The ads have advanced past me. Is this a sign of getting old in the modern age? I hope you enjoyed those strange interlude, folks. My apologies. Look, we're back. We're talking about America and war and all that, right? That's what we were saying? They're pulling out of negotiations. Where were we? Okay, I remember. We're talking about Candace Owens. Whew. You know about this drama. She's out over there at the Daily Wire. Parted ways. Daily Wire CEO tweeting just that. About parting ways. I just want to make sure that doesn't happen to me again. That might have been actually Variety.com. Maybe that's the website you don't want to go to. Okay, Daily Wire, Candace Owens have ended their relationship, Daily Wire CEO Jeremy Boring wrote in a post. And they go on, this article goes on, they publish the rumor from Mediaite, and I saw this going around everywhere. And it was from Mediaite. They were saying, oh, they let her go because of tensions between between Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens. Honestly, at this point, we don't know. And that doesn't really matter. That's not even the point of this. I did want to point out that kind of gossipy stuff, though, that the media does. You can't trust the media. You got to have a individual mind at everything you read, everything that comes in here. You got to have some a radical authority over it. Like a radical, how should I put this? A radical what do you say when it's your fault? When you take responsibility, when you take accountability, radical accountability for the things that enter your mind, enter your belief systems or what the heck you want to call it. We got to have some radical accountability here. So everything you read, the media here, when they were repeating that, they were just repeating something Mediaite was speculating on. It was tension between them. So I see your calls coming in. Thanks. 888-775-3773. I'm bringing up this thing here with Candace and Daily Wire because they had their thing. She's out. She had those recent talks, one with some rabbi. They're saying it's because she's an anti-Semite and there's tension and they're calling her that. You know, that's what they're calling her. And that she's speaking about, she's peddling in anti-Semitic conspiracies, right? Other things. Anyways, what happened after is Lauren Chen. Isn't that her name? Lauren Chen. She was on, I don't know if she's still with Blaze TV, but I remember she was at least with Blaze TV. She does a podcast. She's a, conservative, libertarian? I don't know. But I know that she was with Blaze, maybe still is. I know she was on the Fallen State once. And Lauren Chen had like a Twitter space thing, okay? And on this space, she had Jeremy Boring on, the CEO of Daily Wire. And in a, I think, not planned meeting, you know him, the young guy, Nick Fuentes, okay? And it sucks that's a radioactive name and all that, and I'm gonna try not to say it too much because of that. And it really is a shame that it is. That's not right, I personally believe, because of free speech and all that. But I'm trying to bring this up because why? Because they had a talk. And it was an interesting talk. Jeremy Boring, CEO of Daily Wire, said he watches the show often, that he's very, young, interesting guy. He's just worried about some of the things he's saying. And this is the reason I bring this up, not to really get into, because you probably may not even know what I'm talking about. It's some drama between Candace and the more unpalatable. How do I put this? The mainstream doesn't find these voices palatable. They call them Nazis and all that, and I think personally even malign them and say things they don't say. But names like the one I said earlier. You had this spat going on between the more mainstream stuff going on and the underground conservative world there. And in this very interesting spat, I notice, don't you see the factions building? Don't you see the sides and wherever side you lie? I'm not even making a claim who's right here or taking a side. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just trying to point out, don't you see the factions building? And it's not unlike like the beginnings of World War II. I'm not saying this to be scary. I'm saying that I don't see any love, and I think that's kind of important. I'm seeing even these Catholics, for example, these Catholic guys who I really appreciate. They call them the Groypers. I like them. I was at one of those dinners when we did AFPAC. I thought I heard and saw young politicians and presidents and governors that I would vote for in there. I'm just trying to point out that even amongst the right side, the good guys, we got to really be watching ourselves. Okay, I'm seeing things like, for example, I'm hearing these guys kind of take some things personal, and they'll say we have to go around converting people in this spat between Jeremy Boring and this whole Twitter space that happened. One of the things that got brought up was we got to be converting people, and anyone who says anyone who's against that is like suspect. Like there's something terribly wrong with that. But that's you're just being just like the other side, going around thinking you can change people and change people's hearts and minds. Anybody follow what I'm talking about at all? Because maybe I'm talking about drama that nobody even knows about. That's why war is coming, because there's no love. Okay, that's the big old point. I think we can move on a little faster here. That's the big old point. It's not because of the news and the politicians. It's because people have no love. Bingo, bango, bongo. Drama. Yeah, maybe that's too esoteric and deep in the internets for people to even follow what I'm talking about. Steve, Ohio, is on the air. Thank you for your call.
Yo, man, what's up?
What's up, Steve?
Hey, I was following everything you were saying, man. And
right on.
I would like to say, because one of my questions kind of tied in with what you're talking about, this whole charade on the internet with Candace and all. Like shining light on the darkness, I think that's the only way you could really fight it, is by outing it. Like, hey, that's messed up. Knock that off, and then just leave it be. You don't drive it and keep, like, pestering. You out it, say it's wrong, and then let it go, So I think that's a lot of what's going on. Would you find me somewhat in the ballpark on that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're talking about, I guess, how to eradicate evil. Is that fair?
That's what I'm saying.
And even on that, you could be more, what's it called? Just tougher on even that, because you can't even do that. You can only really even do it like within yourself.
True. Like on an outward reflection, just like to set the example for others, like, hey, this is what I see. It's evil. And if they don't see it at the time, they're not ready. And then you just move on. And I wouldn't say try to convert people, because then you're just going to scare them away. That's how I felt in the churches. Oh, you got to, no, you're just scaring me away.
And it doesn't work. Look at our lifetimes. Let me think about my lifetime. Has that worked at all? It's gone worse.
Way worse.
How about just like mainstream conservatism, not even like Christian or whatever. Mainstream conservatism, I don't know. I hear about Jesse going to these conservative things, and there's no young people.
Right.
But the young people he did find were angry at their parents. Man, my parents were just way too conservative. They're just pushing it on me. And so they went completely the other way.
Exactly. And that's the thing is, like the prodigal son thing, I always look at that, like plant the seed early and then just let it be. Let nature run its course. he was meant to grow into be a child of God and accept it, cool. If not, like, you might have to run through this thing again, and I don't know,
Yeah, I'm following you, man. And when you say that, it's an answer to what?
I'm not exactly sure.
Like an answer to how to make, like, I guess, how to bring goodness into the world.
I guess you can attract more flies with honey than poop.
See, that's what I mean. Even that's why I'm going radical with this one. You can't even do that. You can't even do that
I
at
know.
all. So it's like that's not even the answer. The answer is just like all I can do is deal with myself. Because it's like you say, plant the seed. Even not to be so nitpicky. Like I don't know, you're even wrong about that, man. It's just I think this is a fair conversation. That seed you're planting, you can't even plant it. You can't even do that right because you don't even know if you got the seed.
Right. Is it a male seed or a female seed? Will it even propagate, or did I just dump a female on the ground or a male on the ground? It's not going to run,
Exactly.
So, with that,
did you say you'd attract more flies with honey than poop?
Yeah, that's what I think.
That might be debatable.
Well, yeah, it depends on the fly. Is it a bot fly or So I was actually called racist yesterday, and like
nice.
I really don't believe in racism as it is, but what I found is if you do shed light on the dark, you will be hated for it.
And is that okay? Go on. Yeah, go ahead.
So no, my question is, can you be racist to someone the same color as you? Like, is that possible even? Like, so if someone else calling me racist and it was towards another Caucasian, it's like, can that be real? Like, can whites be racist against whites?
Another white person called you racist?
Yeah, but not towards him. It was in a conversation of generalities.
See, that's why. Because he was saying you just are racist. He wasn't saying you were being racist towards him.
Yeah, no, he was just saying I'm just straight up racist for shedding light on the darkness.
So why do you call you racist, though? If you can say.
Well, I think it's just a misconception of knowing that it's the spirit driving them and not their vessel that they're in. So, like, they're looking at, oh, dude, you're just a vessel, but I'm looking at now the spirit in the vessel fighting the devil who's always there. So that's where I'm looking at it. So you can't be racist, but on the outside, people who aren't ready, they can only see it as racist.
Yeah, you can't be racist if you see it like that. That's not even a real thing.
That's what I'm saying,
But yeah, to clear, I mean, you're asking because you were asking about the white guy, the white coworker or friend there. I mean, it sounds like though he wasn't saying anything. He wasn't saying that you were committing an act of racism against him, another white person.
No,
so that's not the problem.
And he wasn't even mad about the my opinion formulation either. He's just like, oh man, that's racist.
So what was the racist part?
Well, I'd rather not say.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, just for the sake of your channel and all.
Okay, I appreciate it.
But so I just had one more question, if I can pass it by you.
Sure.
So I wanted to ask Hake, but I was at work, couldn't really ask him. When you get a cut on your hand, like say I got a nice cut, and then I go ahead and I lick that blood, is that still an abomination to God? Because like Old Testament, you can't like drink blood, and it's like a definite no-no.
Is that true?
Yeah, in the Old Testament, it's like
Old Testament forbade that for real.
Yeah, it forbids like any kind of like blood consumption for sure.
Did you do that?
Well, I mean, since I was a kid, I cut myself. Like every time I do it, I put my cut in my mouth and I suck the blood out. So
and no one told you not to do that?
I mean, I'm sure, but I don't think I listened.
Man, it's not looking good.
Is this terrible or what?
It's not looking good.
Oh man,
I'm truly messing with you, man. Do you?
Okay.
What do you?
I was like, why did I even
I've
call
never
you,
really
dude?
heard this. I'm not. To be fair, I've never really heard this. You know what? I gotta say, I don't I'm messing around. I really don't think that's a bad thing. You know what? You know what comes to mind, man? You know what actually came to mind? Jesus. I just don't usually do this. Isn't it which that it comes out of you that defiles you, not what goes into you, right?
Yeah, like some New Testament speech, I reckon.
Yeah. It's let me see if I can pull it up. But while I pull that up, do you really believe that about the Old Testament? And what when you lick the blood from a wound from your own cut, what are you actually thinking? Are you thinking that you may be unclean or whatever?
Well, yeah, that's what I would think. I mean, I've never really felt bad about it. I think it was just Satan popping in your head, like, "Oh man, maybe you shouldn't be drinking that blood." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe I shouldn't."
Dang, and at times that makes sense to you. Like Satan is making sense sometimes. Like, yeah, I don't know if I should do that.
It was just this week, because I've never thought about it before until like this week. I'm like, hey, maybe that's not a good thing I'm doing there.
I understand. Yeah, Satan is in the mind is tricky.
Well,
don't worry. I don't think you're defiled. I think you're just a vampire or a ghoul or undead or something. But I don't know if you're defiled.
Yeah. Okay. So as long as I'm clean,
I got some Bible for you. It
Okay.
sounds like you have no problem. It sounds like you're not having any problem with this, though.
No, not at all. I love the convo.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate your call. Mark 7, that which defiles. And the Jews were like, hey, man, Jesus, you and your homies are just eating with your hands. You guys didn't even do the tradition, where you're supposed to clean your hands. Apparently they have a ceremonial washing. Okay? Right. And the Pharisees are like, your disciples are eating with unclean, defiled hands. He says, Jesus is, he's like, he yucks it up and he's like, I don't know, you guys are merely following human rules. Your teachings are merely human rules, he says. Listen to me, everyone, and understand this. Nothing outside a person can defile them by going into them. Rather, it is what comes out of a person that defiles them.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what people do in church all the time. That's good church and good verse, good scripture. When people are like,
I know I want to chew on that one. Because was he talking about excrement?
What made you go,
Well, because what comes out could be, your speech. It could be your blood. It could be excrement. It could be urine. But I think in his ways, he's talking about the way you talk to others. It would be like more of a spiritual thing. I don't know.
So
that's what I'm getting off that verse.
Because urine and blood comes out of you, it could still defile. You think it could still possibly defile you?
I don't know.
Well, take this part in. Well, take this part in. Maybe if I read further, it might clarify. Jesus, okay. I think, is actually being incredibly clear here in an amazing way. He said to them, he told everybody after the Pharisees were like, hey, that's unclean. And he's like, that's funny how you guys just use rules to make things that are unclean, clean, and clean, unclean. And then he tells the crowd, hey, nothing outside a person can defile you. But about that, he goes on here. After he left the crowd, his disciples asked him about this parable, and he said, are you so dull? Don't you see that nothing that enters a person from the outside can defile them? For it doesn't go into their heart, but into their stomach, and then out of the body. So even if you were to eat excrement and urine, and that's just passing through your digestive system, which is made perfectly. It's made like perfectly to feed you the nutrition and all that you need, but it's not going to defile you. That's not your heart. It's not who you are. That's almost quite clear if you think about it. If what you eat only passes through your stomach, then it can't go into you. So then you're not your body.
Bro, when you said that Bible verse, that really just gave me goosebumps. Hardcore.
Yeah, because it sounded like it sounded like it could, in your mind, it sounded like, well, urine and excrement still comes out of you, so. But he's clearly talking about the heart and the spirit, the things that you're not, which is not your body.
Yeah, so like how we went back to being the vessel, the soul in the vessel, and Normie's not really getting that just yet.
Fascinating.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's all I have for you.
Yeah, man, thank you.
Thanks for running around the bush with me, bro.
Big time. Thank you for calling in.
Yes, sir. God bless you.
Call me again. 888-775-3773. This is actually a really cool verse. I should read the Bible more. What kind of Christian? This is Mark. I guess I'm reading what? I'm reading New International Version. Am I getting judged? God, am I getting in with the NIV Bible? With the NIV Bible on Google that I found on Google? Lord, let me know. DM me. Hit my line. Let me know. If am I getting in with the NIV? Because that's what I'm reading right now, folks. Hopefully you find this interesting. Caller is a ghoul. I'm defiling myself with the NIV. This is such an amazing story in verse. I feel like I'm really just reading it. And I read this about, you know what? This is that part about Jesus healing a deaf and mute man. Well, look at that. I'm remarking on the story that Jesse was talking about recently and why he told that deaf and mute man that he healed not to go around telling people the truth, you know, because they would just hate him for it. Anyways, that's in the same chapter, that's the chapter, right? Mark 7 is the chapter 7. That's all in the same chapter. That's cool. That which defiles. Jesus honors a Syrophoenician woman. Whoa, man, don't call her that. Calm down, Bible. Calm down, NIV. Don't call her that. Jesus honors a Syrophoenician. Oh, my gosh. That's spicy. Oh, Syrophoenician. Oh, it's a historic region. Ancient Phoenicia. Oh, okay. An ancient Semitic maritime civilization. We're doing a lot of learning today. We're doing some on-air learning. The Phoenicians. So Jesus honored a Semitic woman. Psh, NIV. It's all Semite to me. That's a joke. Jesus left that place and went to the vicinity of Tyre. I mean, I should probably not do this. I'm just like reading the Bible at this point, and then just, I guess, enjoying reading it a little bit. 888-775-3773. Maybe I'll read about the Syrophoenician woman some other time. Mark 7. Whew. All right. Didn't he call the Phoenician woman a dog? Did he really? Nick thought that was a slur. I got Kevin, New York. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. How you doing?
All is well, Kevin. Nice to hear from you again.
Cool. Well, yeah, just like I told the call screener, I called to talk about what I think about God's dietary laws. Now,
okay.
You guys had already answered that question, really, with what you were talking about, that what goes inside of you can't defile you, but what comes out of you.
Mm.
But
this has to do with dietary laws?
Well, yeah, because people still have the misunderstanding that some foods are forbidden to eat.
Mm.
Excuse me, I have a slight cold. I probably shouldn't have called because I have a cold.
No problem, no problem. You on any dietary restrictions?
No,
by chance? Okay.
It was kind of a play on words when I brought up the subject of God's dietary laws, because what I mean really is that there really is no dietary law.
Hmm.
Just as I was saying that some people still, whether it be Christian or Muslim, still have the misunderstanding that there are certain foods that are forbidden to eat, and that's not true.
I remember a little bit talking about you with this a little bit. But go on.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this. I'm expanding what I know on this because I've read the apocryphal book that's known as the Epistle of Barnabas,
mm-hmm.
that expands on that very subject. But it talks about how Moses was the first person in the Christian community that talked about foods as being forbidden. And
why is that? Do you know? Sorry to cut you off. Sorry if you're in the middle. If you're on a roll, keep going. My bad.
No, it's fine. The reason why he did that is because Barnabas, the apparent author of this apocryphal book, was saying that by doing so, Moses spoke in the Spirit. It also goes along with the saying that what you eat, you are what you eat. And there's a lot of truth to that, sort of, in the symbolic form. Because, like, say, for example, it was said that a person shouldn't eat pork, which is basically from the animal, the pig, obviously. What was truly supposed to be meant by that is not the forbidden don't eat pork, but rather don't be like a pig.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Because it was explained in the Epistle of Barnabas that don't eat the pig, meaning that don't be like when the pig is hungry, it cries out for help,
mm-hmm.
but then when it's fed, only again is it silent. That's the way it was described, meaning that, don't be the type of person to where when you're in help, you're crying out for help. But then when you get that help, you lose being humble. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's like human nature, big time. Human nature. You cry, you whine, you get what you want. But it seems like life always turns out that the criers, the placated crier you're just placating the next cry.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the pig wasn't the only animal used as an example in the Epistle of Barnabas. It also used the example of the eagle and how not to, or you should not eat the eagle. Not meaning that you shouldn't eat eagles, but don't be like the type of person that, when you observe the eagle, it lays in wait for its food to snatch it up. You know what I mean?
Oh no!
And so
is the fact that I find that kind of cool. Is does that speak to my Hispanic genetics maybe a little bit? maybe I'm darker than I thought. I thought I was more American than I thought.
I was going to ask you, what do you mean by that? Because I think that might have gone completely over my head.
I'm talking about the eagle laying in wait for its food. You're saying that that people were in the Epistle of Barnabas, people were forbidden from eating the eagle because what you're saying is that it's because it's actually a metaphoric reason, right? Because you shouldn't lie in wait. That's a sneaky thing to do. It's a nasty thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it goes on to explain that the reason why people understood Moses as not eating the animal instead of the spiritual meaning behind it is because their hearts were already made hard.
Do you think do you think there was similar, I cut you off, do you think it was similar reasoning for like the Old Testament dietary laws? Or do you think the reasoning there is purely health? Or I don't know, like these animals actually are unclean spiritually? What's that all about? Do you have any thoughts on that?
It just works on a consistent, it seems almost formulaic because as the spiritual adversary of mankind, we talk about Satan, Lucifer, all these things. That evil nature is always described as an animal-like nature.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so that's also why it kind of fits into the teachings of behaviors to try to steer yourself from,
Pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting, man. Would you say that that's the purpose of Mark 7? And Mark 7, I guess more specifically, Mark 7:19. that him saying, Jesus saying that nothing enters a person, defiles them, etc. That's him declaring all foods clean. Would you say that's the purpose of that verse and all that? Because I'm reading, and the reason I bring this up is because I'm reading this in the NIV right now, and I feel like I've read this in other translations where right after that, in parentheses, it reads, Jesus, in saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean. Who wrote that? Mark. So that's Mark writing that? Mark is like, this is Jesus saying that all foods are clean now.
Well, yeah, him being a witness to Jesus and the many things that he's done.
And would you say that's the purpose of that verse and all that?
Yeah, that's exactly it, yes. And it also proves that what we also understand all along, that Jesus is the fulfillment of the Old Testament.
Because I'm reading this, and it almost feels like, and this is just me as a layman, I'm just reading this, right? And I'm just like, that's an interesting thought, I'm sure, that in saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean. I think that is an interesting conclusion to make from what he's saying there, and I wouldn't even be wrong. But I don't know if that was the purpose. I think Jesus he was just telling people that the heart is what matters here. He wasn't telling people that you can eat whatever they want. If that's another thing you can conclude from it, I'm sure, I think that's a fair conclusion, but, because I see Charlie Chutch in the chat, she's like, no, you still not supposed to eat unclean animals. Pigs don't have sweat glands. You should not eat them. And I just don't think that's what Jesus was saying. He was talking about the heart. If you want to eat a pig, I think you can. It still might do you harm. It might not.
Yeah. Well, everything in moderation. You know what I mean? Too much of one thing will do harm to you.
Gotcha. Well, appreciate that, Kevin. Anything else you want to say before we move the wheels here?
No, not at all. You've even said things to, have me think about.
Hey, right on.
But thanks for the call.
Thank you, Kevin. Call me again.
All right. Have a good one.
Nice. Yeah, Kevin always has calls that make me think too, because it's like a bunch of stuff I never heard. Apocrypha stuff, and so I've never heard. I start thinking, I wonder, Mark. I'm talking about like one of the apostles, aren't I? Aren't I talking about one of the apostles, I guess? Like Mark. I don't know, Mark. Did Jesus say that, or are you just adding that in? I mean, maybe Mark just wanted to eat shrimp. And he's like, what? Don't you know, you dull people? Don't you know that it's not what goes into you that defiles you? Oh, right on, Jesus. That means I can eat shrimp. And then he wrote that. I don't think that was the purpose. That may have been a fair and even insightful conclusion, because think about it. All this tradition on the food, all this tradition on the dietary laws. I mean, it's the same human rules and traditions that Jesus was talking about there. Thinking you're holy, thinking this is how God wants you to live. And you're just doing human stuff. This is between y'all. God didn't tell you to do this. So, even this eating of unclean animals, it is what he's talking about, the human rules and the reasons we do it. Yeah. But he's being quite clear. He's talking about the heart. What's up, Thunder Dragon from Australia? Very cool. Hillary asks, have you even tried sea urchin? Yes. I think I have. Sea urchin. Hold on. Let me see. Is this sea urchin? Yeah, I have tried sea urchin. And in like a sushi setting. And, it's interesting. And it's so human. It's so freaking human. Look at this. I'm pretty sure there are, I think there's two kinds of, I could be wrong about my urchin lore here, about my sea urchin lore here. So forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there are like two kinds of urchins. And these urchins, I mean, is it fair to call them a bottom feeder? Maybe it's not a bottom feeder, but it is a invertebrate. Okay. And if I could be wrong, but I believe there's like these two kinds of urchins that eat like inorganic material and urchins that eat organic material. Maybe a biologist can correct me here, but it almost seems like God's little aquarium tank cleaners. The aquarium tank being the planet. You got the inorganic. They eat up. Anyways, I'm just trying to point out that only man would look at such a thing and think, I wonder what that would taste like. Yeah, I think I have had urchin. Anyways, sea urchin. We got some connoisseurs in the chat. Where were we? I just had a call. Let me get my bearings here. What are we doing next? Lin Yan Chin with the super chats. Appreciate that, sir. Big time. Back-to-back super chats. Very supportive as always, Lin Yan Chin. Thank you, sir. Do not cause your brother to sin by shaming him about the food he eats. This indicates shame. Insecurity is the sin aspect. Romans 14:13-23. Whoa! We're getting the scriptures out on the Anchor Baby show today. That kind of scripture that make you go, Romans 14:13-23. Therefore, let us stop passing judgment on one another. Instead, make up your mind not to put any stumbling block or obstacle in the way of a brother or sister. Thank you, Lin Yan Chin. Right on. Very nice. And that's what those Pharisees were trying to do anyways, right? They weren't caring about Jesus' heart. They didn't really care about his disciples being clean. They were just like, did you do our stupid little tradition? Did you do this yet? Because that's against the rules. You little... Anyways. It's not even Thursday. It's not even Thursday. 888-775-3773. What do I have for you in the last bit of the show here? I kind of wanted to go through the details of this bridge collapse, kind of. You might find it somewhat interesting. I think that's what I wanted to do here. Let me close all these Bible verses. We're getting Bibled up in here. You know about the bridge collapse at this point. I'm sure you know about the bridge collapse at this point. Here, look at this. Look at this. This thing collapsed. Let's take a drive on the Franklin. What is it? Who's Franklin Scott? Is it Franklin? Or is it Francis? Francis Scott Key Bridge. And this is that very bridge. Look at this sturdy looking thing. This thing came down? Well, it did. Or at least a section of it, right? Looking pretty sturdy. Imagine if you were on this. Imagine if you were on this and just went down. This is you may be waiting for this clip to show this bridge collapsing. That's not what this is. This is just someone driving over the same bridge. But yeah, this is what it would look like for you as the driver. After, when sudden collapse happens, they say there were reports of a mayday, which did save lives. It closed the bridge as much as they could. There would have been way more cars at the moment of impact and all that, at least according to the reports. Should that not have happened, right? It would have been worse if they didn't have the Mayday report. So they're saying this is where is it? This is footage of the moment. I'm sure you've seen this already. A lot of people pointing out these lights going out as a indicator of something. And I can't tell you what. I really don't know. They're saying the moment these lights go out, once and then once more here before impact is an indicator of power loss, they say. At the very least, they say it's an indicator of power loss. I don't know if we can even confirm that. But this is what the footage shows. And then, of course, any moment now, at this point, they say the Mayday reports did come in. And, of course, the impact, which causes the eventual collapse. There were cars there. If you see the zoomed-in version, you do see some vehicles there. They say that there were, on the right side, if you see my mouse over here, workers. They had workers there working on this. Up to snuff, according to the city. Everything up to code and up to snuff. Although the Daily Mail was reporting that there are people who disagree with that estimation and conclusion. So just letting you know what I've read and what I've seen. This is what it looks like after the section that came down. Some hours later, of course, this was in the wee hours of the night. Sun comes up. We're seeing what it looks like. So, yeah. Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse. You saw maybe even on the Hake Report. I think the Hake Report may have played this. Mayor. And this is a mayor we've talked about before. Incredible. Brandon Scott. Mayor of Baltimore. Voted in by the people in 2020. You may have already seen this.
All of them working together. City. Everyone, this is a unthinkable tragedy. We have to, first and foremost, pray for all of those who are impacted, those families. Pray for our first responders and thank them, all of them working together, city, state, local, to make sure that we...
they're saying, he's the mayor, right? And we've reported on this guy. He's this guy who promised, right? He promised. Brandon Scott, mayor of Baltimore. He promised to make Baltimore the most radical city in America or something like that. And all sorts of crap. So he's been rocking all that and being just a total peach for the people of Baltimore. Obviously, Baltimore, one of the most dangerous cities in America. Huge problems there. And then the reports came in from the officials, Biden, and otherwise saying the government will pay the full cost to replace this, to get this all going as fast as possible. You'll move heaven and earth to get one of the world's busiest ports reopened. You got to do it. It's important. You got to do it. I'm sure Trump would have. Thank you, Biden. And he's saying, hey, this was not an attack. This was just an accident, he says. This was just an accident, he stressed. Simply an accident. And I think it could be very well. I'm not making any claims otherwise. FBI also getting in on it. They're just saying, hey, by the way, just so you know, this was not a terror attack.
Our hearts go out to everyone that is impacted by this tragedy, especially the victims and their families. On behalf of the FBI, I would like to say that we are with you, we're with Baltimore, and we're with the partners every step of the way. The FBI, on very first, looking at and assessing this matter from an investigative standpoint, I want to be clear that there is no specific or credible information to suggest that there are ties to terrorism in this incident.
Well, okay, FBI, I wasn't thinking about it. Maybe it might have crossed my mind that, hey, is this terrorism? Is this shenanigans? Is this DEI? Is this just a horrible mistake from a very seasoned crew that just made an honest mistake? I'm sure it may have crossed my mind, but okay, FBI, you're putting it right out there. I wasn't really thinking about it, but okay, not a terrorist attack, you're telling me. Not a terror. That's what the FBI is saying. I wasn't thinking about it that hard that long ago. All right, anyways, map. Here's a little map for you. This friggin' frigate, which not really a frigate, a cruiser or whatever. It's a big old ship. This friggin' frigate took this turn around this port, was supposed to go under the bridge here. And it did not, obviously. It did not. 1 a.m., 1:26 a.m. collided. A little map for you. Now, how could that have happened? You know, when I first heard of this, I was thinking, like, how does that even happen on a boat like that? I mean, they don't go that fast. And you really do see quite a ways ahead of you. I just wonder what that's like. Obviously, I don't have any sea legs. I'm a pilot. I'm no captain of a boat. And so obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about. And someone will tell me, well, duh, Nick. Things are a lot slower. And accidents happen. And because my first reaction was like, well, how does an accident on a boat happen? You go, no, stop. We're going to crash for like an hour? Like 30 minutes? No, turn, please. We only have 30 minutes to turn. Don't do it. I know I'm being ignorant. I know part of me knows that I'm being ignorant. Because we saw the video and it was going to go under the bridge, and then at the last moment it turns. It's not all that slow, right? It's not all that slow. And it goes right into that bridge. It's crazy how that goes down. Here's some info for you on some of the crew, some of the comments from someone from the crew even. You know, there's a search underway for those who fell into the river. You know, I've seen different numbers, 7, 20. Don't know if there's casualties, and I don't know the story on that. But here is some information. Let me get it for you here. The doomed cargo ship Dolly was being piloted by a local crew who were trained to avoid obstacles in the Baltimore port. As it emerges, a 100,000-ton vessel lost control and propulsion moments before smashing into the bridge. This is from Daily Mail. And so this ship, a 948-foot-long Dolly operated by Singaporean company Synergy Group, collided with the 1.2-mile bridge. Maryland Transportation Secretary Paul Wiedefeld said on Tuesday morning it appears none of the 22 crew members were injured. Okay. As he revealed, it was being steered by the specialist pilots. So these were the experts. Pilots move ships in and out of the port of Baltimore. Officials were quick to rule out the catastrophe as intentional or an act of terrorism. The vessel notified Maryland Department of Transportation that they had lost control of the vessel and an collision with the bridge was possible. This was that May Day, which allowed the officials to close the bridge and do the best they could. The Dolly container ship had undergone 27 inspections. Okay, they found to have 2 deficiencies. Some history on the ship. Notably, this included a June 2023 inspection in Chile, where a deficiency was found in the propulsion and auxiliary machinery. Okay, there was also a 2016 incident at the port of Antwerp. I found another structural deficiency. So the ship had departed the Seagirt Marine Terminal around 12:30 a.m. Tuesday. The Dolly was intended to sail underneath the bridge. However, it struck the support beam, obviously. And so the reports are that it just lost control and propulsion. I mean, horrible timing, right? Horrible timing to lose propulsion and control. Officials were quick to rule it out because the early reports found that the container had just lost propulsion. But yeah, that's the news. That's some of the reports there. Wanted to just give you some of those details. Found it somewhat interesting. You know, they had the deficiencies on this ship where it previously had lost propulsion and control in these previous incidents. So maybe it just lost its propulsion and control, right? I was saying earlier, I'm not saying anything about this particular ship incident. It could very well be an accident, you know? But these things that are happening in the world, I don't think are unrelated. The instability of the world, namely is what I'm talking about, and these events. I think planes falling out of the sky, for example, due to untrained people, diversity, if you will, and all that. I don't think it's unrelated. Okay, anyways, what else? Yeah, that's pretty much the story here. That's pretty much the story here with the cargo ship, the doomed cargo ship Dolly. Lost propulsion, that's what they say. That's what they say, Reese's Vids. Okay, folks. I mean, honestly, that's pretty much the show. That's pretty much all I got to say for all you today. Hope you enjoyed it. Coming back tomorrow, Thursday. We got open line we got Bible Thumper Thursday. You don't want to miss it. Everybody loves it. People are talking about it. It's getting out there. We might even have some Bible Thumper Thursday calls we're all waiting to hear. You don't want to miss it tomorrow. Jesse Lee Peterson Show, 6 a.m. Hake Report, always strong. You know you'll see him tomorrow, 9 a.m. Joel Friday, last day for the week. He's gone on Friday, resurrects on Sunday. You see him at church. That's Joel Friday. You don't see him Friday. He comes back Sunday, like Jesus. And the Anchor Baby. I'll see y'all tomorrow at noon. More American Anchor Baby, as we do before we do our flight on Friday. Appreciate it, folks. That's the show. Let me just do one last check on all you beautiful supporters. You amazing, beautiful, gorgeous, handsome, smart, magnanimous, generous supporters of the show. All right, folks, take care. I'm out. Peace.